Welcome back to Talking Fitchburg, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day out there and have an umbrella because it's wet. Well, today I am honored. I'm honored today to have Superintendent of the Verona Area School District, Dean Gorrell, here today to talk with us about the upcoming referendum that you guys are proposing here. And Dean, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I feel like we just talked to each other just not too long ago.
I think just a week or so ago, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you making the trek out here. What do you think of the set? Now that
I
you
like
actually get
it.
to be on here.
Yeah, exactly. It's my first time in here, so it's pretty impressive.
Oh,
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Hey, thank you. We try really hard. We really do. Well, I don't want to hold up from the information you want to get out to everybody in the Verona Area School District. So let's talk about the referendum and the building or buildings that will be coming in April.
Sure. Well, thanks again. And so the board has been studying this question for, well, actually for years, but really intensely for the last several months. And so we're planning for an April of 2017 referendum, and what exactly the question is going to be or questions will be, we don't know yet. The board is still in the formation stages of that. Right now, the board is considering three options, and it may stay three, it may expand to that, it may contract from that, but the three different options that they were looking at is option number one would be to build a new high school on property that we're referring to as the West End, and I can talk more about where that is, and then to renovate the current high school into a middle school and core knowledge charter school, a New Century Charter School Center. Then to turn the existing Badger Ridge Middle School into Badger Ridge Elementary School.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we would take offline the current Sugar Creek and New Century School, and they're located right kind of in the city center. So there's a lot of different moving parts to that option right there. And so the high school that we built we would build in that proposal would be for 2,200 kids, and again, all those heavy renovations at the current Badger Ridge Middle School, heavy renovations at the current high school, and all those relocations. And so that price tag initially came in at $190 to $200 million. So that's an expensive venture for sure. And one of the questions that I got asked yesterday, I've been going around to all the buildings talking to the staff about the referendum, giving them update. One of the questions that came up yesterday was this: so if we have an elementary space crunch, why are we starting with a high school? And that's a great question, and your listeners may have that question also. Mm-hmm. And so the board has been very deliberate in taking a long-term look at our facilities needs. And so I'm going to backtrack from that question a little bit to fill in some additional information. So we've done a housing projection growth, a facility study, a capacity study, and the housing projection growth shows that in the next 15 years in the Verona Area School District entirety, we're anticipating 4,500 new housing units, and that's split between single family and multifamily. And multifamily is apartments, condos, and duplexes, so forth. And from that 4,500 new homes, we're anticipating maybe as many as 1,700 additional students, what we have beyond now. So in 15 years, we anticipate that all of our sites, with the exception of one, Sugar Creek Elementary School, will be well over capacity. So right now, we have capacity issues at one of our elementary schools. So how does this new high school, address that? And it addresses it in this way, that if we move students out of Badger Ridge Middle School into the renovated high school, and the renovated Badger Ridge becomes an elementary school, it has a larger capacity of anywhere from 800 to 850. Could be less than that, depending on the scope of the renovations. And that kind of scares some folks. It scares some teachers, it scares some parents about, my gosh, I don't want to send my kid to this 800-student elementary school. But when you look at the long-term look, that option really does address a lot of the capacity issues at all the levels. So we're going to have capacity issues at the elementary, middle, and high school level, and that option right there addresses most of those for that 15-year period. So that's why we're looking at a high school option to help us really address elementary capacity issues, and we will have high school capacity issues downstream. So that's one option. The second option is very similar to that. It scales back the size of the high school to 2,000 student high school. It scales back the extent of the renovations at Badger Ridge and the existing high school, and takes out some of the performance or competition fields at the new high school. So that price tag comes in anywhere from $20 to $25 million less than the first one. And then the third option that we're looking at is really an elementary option only. It would have us building 2 new elementary schools, and that option comes in at about $80 million. And so each of these options, though, have several phases. And so when you look at it over the course of 15 years, option number 1, strangely enough, is the least expensive option.
In
the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, if you take a 15-year look. And so the estimates that we have for the 15-year look is option 1 would cost about $230 million. Option 2 is, I want to say it's $250 million. I might be a little off on my number, but that's certainly the order of magnitude. And option number 3 is way out there. That's like $330 million. So it really is a pay now or pay later sort of a proposition. And that's what the board is struggling with right now are those 3 options. And there might be a 4th one. I don't know. The more options we put out there, the more confusing it gets, the harder it is to explain.
Sure. Well, and you got to investigate in those too. I mean, that's a lot. I'm sure you guys have gone through a lot of work just to get to these 3 options, and
we have. It's been many meetings and hundreds of hours of meetings to narrow it down to these 3 options. And the next step for us is to go out to the community. All the voters in the Verona Area School District will receive a survey either later this month or early in October. And that survey is going to be a narrative piece along with, obviously, with some questions that will kind of test these ideas. And that will be a very important piece of data for the board when we get that back in late October, early November. So they'll spend November and December studying the results of that. And then by January 24th of 2017, the board has to decide at that point what question or questions it will put on a ballot for April.
Gotcha. Well, Dean, let's take a quick break. You're going to stay here for another segment, and we can pick up the discussion. So Dean Gorrell here with us here at FACTv on Talking Fitchburg. We'll be right back with Dean. Welcome back to Talking Fitchburg. We're going to continue on our talk here with Dean Gorrell, the Verona Area School District Superintendent. Dean, we're talking about possible referendum coming up, and now we're going to kind of switch to projected cost impacts, both in general and then with the 3 options. So kind of lead us down that path.
Sure, thanks a lot. Well, the planning is important, but a lot of people really want to know how does this affect my bottom line? And we have to be constantly cognizant of the fact that 75 to 80% of the people that will vote, that have the potential to vote on this referendum, don't have a child in our school district. So, and it's not that they don't care about education, of course they do, but they really, they ask great questions, and they want to know how is it going to impact them financially. So let me tell you a little bit of a story here about the situation that our school district is in because of the Epic TIF closing out and because of some other property coming online in the city of Fitchburg as well. What we're going to experience this year is a 20% increase in our total valuation. So what that means is if you add up all the taxable property in the Verona Area School District, so that includes Fitchburg, City of Verona, and so forth, 7 different municipalities or parts thereof, that value is going to increase 20% in 1 year. And that's just unheard of in the state of Wisconsin. You know, a 1 or 2% might be good, and that's what it has been for the last several years, but 20% is just unheard of. And to make a long story short, a very complicated story short, what that does is it creates an opportunity for us to go out and levy for about $120 million and not change our current tax rate, the school portion of it. And so we've been very deliberate the board has been very deliberate over the last several years in managing our tax levy by paying off debt and being very judicious about that in anticipation of the Epic TIF closing off, in anticipation of needing to build new schools. So we're now at a point where we have a window of opportunity to bond for about $120 million. It wouldn't change our current school rate, school portion tax levy. And that's unheard of also.
I was going to say, those don't seem like they would.
They don't line up very often.
No, never.
And it's not free money. I mean, we understand that. I mean, there would be a tax savings if we didn't go to referendum at all. We get that. It isn't free money. But what we've experienced in the time that I've been here and well before that is if you have a decrease, people appreciate that, but they really don't note it that much. When you have an increase, then that's when they really take notice of it. So we want to use this opportunity to leverage that opportunity to look at buildings, and so that's why we're really pushing on this building right now. So the option number one I talked about had a projected cost of $190 to $200 million. So that's above the $120 million threshold. So it would see a tax increase. But again, we've looked at this on a long-term basis of a 15-year basis, and still option number one is less expensive than option number 2 or 3 over the life of that 15 years. And so that's a very powerful motivator for the board in looking at the long-term planning and the long-term financing of this and the financial impact on all the registered voters and property owners in the Verona Area School District. So this is an extremely complicated set of circumstances, and it not easily explained in a 6-minute segment. So I'm really summarizing this.
Right.
So, but to just go back, it is an opportunity that's unprecedented in the state of Wisconsin. We will likely never see this kind of opportunity again, where we can bond for so much and not have it impact the current mill rate. And anything above that will. So that's what the board is wrestling with also.
How does the board get to how'd you guys get to this point? You've taken a lot of feedback from the community. You've assessed, I mean, the whole process in this, I think, is very impressive to be able to even project out to these 3 options.
Well, thanks, and hats off to the board, too, for their diligence in looking at this. So it really is a very data-driven process, and that early on was one of the principles that the board wanted to go by, is that we're really going to look at a number of different things, and data being one of them. So the housing projection growth, the facility study, the capacity study, the financial impact analysis of all this, the community workshops that we held in May, we did 3 of them. The survey that the board will be putting out in late September, early October, those are all pieces of information that will help guide the board in its final decision about what question or questions to put on the referendum ballot.
Right.
So, and that's just part of the due diligence piece that we have to do that.
Yeah. For people who want to get more information on this, learn more about what you guys are doing, what can they do?
Sure. Well, they can always call me. They can email me. We have all this information. All the studies we've had done they're on our website, a couple different locations. So if you have our website up, if you look on the right-hand side, about 2/3 of the way down the front page, there's the facilities planning piece. All the studies, all the information I'm referring to today is included there in great detail, in full detail. So that's available. Without some additional context, it might be really hard to follow because we're talking hundreds of pages.
Yeah, I've been paging through this piece, and it's pretty impressive, but definitely is
overwhelming.
It is a little overwhelming, but it's nice to see the facts there and get it. So, Dean, I know we haven't given you enough time here to get everything out there, but hopefully we can get you back on when things get a little bit further on here. Sure. And you can give us a little bit more of an update.
You bet, and I really appreciate the opportunity, and thanks. Again, give me a call, send me an email. I'm happy to talk with whatever group, whatever person, as much as needed.
Perfect, Dean. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Let's talk in Fitchburg.
Thank you.